What's up, fellow Star Wars Limited enjoyers and or people who are just hate watching us? You disagree with all of our takes on these cards? Let us know in the comments. I'm here with David and Jay. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hello. Was you saying /or? Was that a Star Wars fun for and/or?
I always think that now when I say that. Because I do say that frequently. And every time after I say it, I'm like, oh, and/or. I wonder if and/or is that way because of that reason. It's probably not. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to talk about the final set of card spoilers that we have not chatted about on this channel since they were revealed at the event that we were at, the community celebration event where all the rest of these were revealed. There's a few that we didn't get to that were revealed before that on social media and stuff. So we're going to hit those first and then we're going to do the rest. So we've got a bunch of cards to get through. You guys ready?
Yes. Ready.
Sweet. The first card is the Ghost. I have something interesting to note about this card, actually. It is a 6-cost space unit. It is blue and hero, and it's a 5/5 Rebel Vehicle Transport Spectre. So it's competing with Palpatine for the most tags. It's shielded, and when played and on attack, you may give a shield token to another Spectre unit.
What were you said you had something interesting to note about it.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that they have the word "the" in front of it.
The Ghost?
Yeah, the Ghost. Because, I mean, even in Star Wars Destiny, it was just Ghost. I'm pretty sure in X-Wing, it was just Ghost. Millennium Falcon is just Millennium Falcon. It's not the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that is interesting.
So I just thought it was a little peculiar.
Hera
it doesn't matter, but
does Hera call it the Ghost a lot, or do they just? I'm trying to.
I think they all call it the Ghost, right? But
okay.
like, if you apply that to any other ship in Star Wars, right, or almost any other ship, it's like the Millennium Falcon. It's not like
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Just say the Falcon. He said, "Where's the Falcon?"
Yeah, sure.
Head to the Falcon.
Yeah. The Falcon.
The Falcon.
Okay, so this card is a 5/5 with shielded. If Jim were here, he would say that his Hera mono green deck is complete.
He would say that.
And
I think it's really good in a deck that has Spectres in it. Playing this and getting 2 shielded units right off the rip, it's pretty sick. But outside of a Spectre, is this good? And that's a question I'm posing to you.
I don't think it's terrible. It's still a 5/5 in space with shielded.
Shielded for 6.
Yeah.
It's in blue, so like theoretically you could drop Kanan and then the Ghost if Kanan survives that long. So in just like a blue hero build. I mean, in set 1, we're gonna have like a little bit of a lack of just colored specific good spaceships, and having a 5/5 with shielded is okay.
Well, it comes out on the same turn that Hera comes out on, right? So that like you play this, I guess Hera comes out,
deploy Hera,
play this, then Hera attacks and gives us an experience.
Yep.
And that seems pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know if Hera's doing anything else that's particularly good, but like that's not bad.
Yep. Yeah. And then Hera will be double shielded.
Yeah. And you could play this in not a blue deck. It could be Hera green or Hera red or double green.
Yeah. Totally.
But do you play it outside of a Hera deck?
Yeah, I don't know.
I did watch Xander drop this in draft on the official FFG live stream.
I think draft this is a bomb.
It was amazing. I mean, he had Kanan double shielded like the game was over.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like just this alone is probably pretty hard to deal with in draft. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next card, which is Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera. He's a 4-cost ground unit, double red, and it's a 5/4 rebel. And as an additional cost for each opponent to play an event, they must deal 2 damage to their base.
Feels kind of thematic to Saw in a way. I don't think he would ever work for the bad guys, but he would unintentionally maybe work for the bad guys.
Maybe. I was thinking like, in red, IG-88 is a bounty hunter, right? He wouldn't be, he's not really the bad guys. He's just
sure.
And IG-88 might align with Saw's philosophy.
Yes, a robot having philosophies.
Anyways, I like Saw. I think a 5-power 4-cost thing is awesome if that's all he is. And then the text is fantastic too. I think, you look at that stat line and you do think IG-88 is literally a 5/4. And IG-88 dies pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as much of a negative of Saw coming out a turn earlier. And he's just a massive threat that they have to deal with. Otherwise, he's going to do a ton of damage to the base. So I'm a big fan of Saw.
Yeah. I think
he's really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah,
what do you like about him?
What if I compare him to the other double aspect characters like Bodhi Rook? Like, is this better or worse? I'm just trying to think of
that one's hard to say. Yeah,
he's definitely better than Krell.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely better than Krell. I think he's decent. I mean, anything that gives you burn damage is sweet. And when you're playing an aggro deck, I don't know if like super hyper aggro really wants to play a bunch of big guys and would probably rather play like 2 A-wings than play this, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, is this better than K2 for the same cost? Probably not.
No,
right?
I think K2 is better.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe in double red, it's just good enough.
Yeah. And again, there is like a villain side that can run this that K2 can't fit into there.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't played Vader
in
a long time,
so he does get
Vader Red good.
Yeah,
at
true.
least. Yeah, Rebel Tag is significant.
Yep. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next card. We've got Bail Organa. Bail's a ground unit. It's a 1-cost green hero. It's 1 power, 2 health. Rebel official and action. Exhaust. Give an experience token to another friendly unit.
Interesting. It's a rare.
I feel like it's just like another 1-cost hero card that you can throw in Luke. Yeah. I don't know if it's good or not, but you can. It seems really slow.
It's so slow.
But I don't know. Like if you can do this turn 1 and then turn 2, you have like Yoda, and now Yoda's like a 3/5.
Sure.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, I feel like that you would struggle to fit this in like the opportunity cost is what you're giving up, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't love Bail, no.
One thing about it though is like if you're playing Luke and you put this down and then you put a shield on it, it's like your opponent has no incentive to want to attack into it. Like it just
it probably survives a while.
I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
You can buff leaders, which is kind of cool with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. David doesn't like it. I haven't played with it at all. So
it's probably great in draft. Honestly, it's probably, like you pull like that's a fine first turn play because units just stick to the board a little bit longer. So.
Sure. But I mean, on the other hand, though, it's like if my opponent plays this as a turn 1 play and I play like a 2/3, I'm always attacking into this before they can get any value whatsoever out of it. So
yeah, if they're not playing Luke to shield it, absolutely.
Well, they can't in draft because Luke's a starter deck unit. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, now we're into the ones that were spoiled at the event. So we've got Gideon Hask, and he is a 5-cost ground unit, blue villain. It's a 5/5 Imperial Trooper, and when an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this guy. I think, from the Star Wars lore that I understand, he works great with old Iden Versio, who also has that when an enemy unit is defeated trigger. So I like that it's passive too. It's not you need to exhaust this, you need to whatever. It's just
it's every time, right?
Yeah,
it's like not once per turn either. So you drop this and then you OB the next turn, and potentially you're getting a bunch of value.
Yeah, he seems strong. I like him.
He doesn't get open fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people like playing him with ECL because you can ambush in and immediately get the experience token out of it from whatever you kill.
And he can give the experience to himself too.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep, cool card. All right, moving on to Super Laser Blast, which is an 8-cost event. It is a blue villain event that says defeat all units.
Whew. Did you guys think like we there's definitely a board wipe coming in Star Wars Unlimited?
It's hard to imagine that there wouldn't be, just given I feel like every game that I've played recently has a board wipe in the first set.
Yeah.
So I can't say I'm surprised by it.
I don't know if I would have called that it's a defeat all units. I maybe would have said like what bombing run is.
Oh,
like
sure.
Deal 2 damage, deal 3 damage, something like that.
Or like Arena Locket. That would be the other way that I could have seen it.
Well, this is destroy everything.
Everything, no matter where they are.
Yep.
I like it though. I think it's cool to have. It gives long con control decks like win condition by being able to play this.
I'm a little nervous it gave control too many tools, but
yeah, I mean if you can get to late game and you can play this, and I mean it's hard because you want to be able to play this and then also follow it up with something. So I like playing this with Palpatine because you can do this and then flip him right afterwards. Like, you don't get value out of his ability to steal something probably, but you still get a 4/10 when your opponent then probably hopefully has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that. I don't know. I feel like like games in general need these kind of effects to help keep the game balanced. And yeah, I'm glad it exists. I'm a little sad that it exists only in villain, because it's probably hard to run like a late game hero control deck without an effect like this. And villain has both this and overwhelming barrage, and hero has, I think, literally nothing. I guess technically bombing run, if you want to call it that, but it's not quite the same. So I don't know.
It has stuff like redemption, which is basically heal 8.
Yeah, but heal 8 is not the same as wipe the entire board.
No, for sure. I just think that's why that's what they're trying to balance the identity of each.
Yeah, I get it. Like villain gets to be a little more control, hero gets to be a little bit more aggro. Like there's no for a cause in villain, so I get it.
Yeah, true.
All right, shall we move on to the next card? It is Electro Staff, and Electro Staff is a 2-cost upgrade. It's just blue, and it says attached to a non-vehicle unit. While attached unit is defending, the attacker gets -1 power, and it gives whatever it's attached to +2/+2.
I'm still not fully sold on upgrades that are just stat sticks yet. That don't have any kind of, at least win plate effect, because of the nature of card advantage and how that exists. And like, yeah, it just makes single target removal so much better by playing upgrades on characters.
Yeah, it's definitely a risky strategy.
Yeah, I think this is really good in limited, because you're just getting more valuable trades, or at least de-incentivizing them to attack the unit. So for regular premier play constructed, I don't know. I don't know if this makes a cut, but I don't know.
It's pretty sweet with Cheer It, I would say.
Cheer It?
Yeah, good with Cheer It.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the reason I like playing characters that are at least Tarkin, that gives like experience tokens, because you're not using a card to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to spend any cards in your hand to buff them.
Which is the same thing. I mean, it's not considered an upgrade, so it's like a 1-cost 1/1, but you're not spending a card to do it, so...
For sure. Yeah, I think the ability to take less damage when being attacked into is probably better than just the +2/+2 that it's getting.
Yeah.
Like the +2/+2, if it didn't have the +2/+2, then it wouldn't be playable at all. But I think like the combination of those two things, like into the right deck, I think is like totally fine. All right, we got a lot to go through, so I'll move on to the next card. We've got Ewing Reinforcement. It's a 7-cost event. It's green and hero, and it's a search the top 10 cards of your deck for up to 3 units with combined cost 7 or less, and play each of them for free.
I think this card's kind of sick.
It's a sweet card.
I love this card.
It seems real good. One, if you don't have, like, if you really need a +2 and you're able to dig for a Fleet Lieutenant at the right time, like, you get to play.
That's really cool.
Plus play 4 resources worth of other cards.
Yeah,
I think that this card is like super sick.
You could get 2 Fleet Lieutenants off of this, and
if you needed to
compress your actions like crazy.
And this also goes well with Akbar too, because you could get 3 ground units and play Akbar as the third.
Akbar last. Yeah,
and do some stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool. You can also, I don't know if you ever would do this, but you're playing them for free, so there's no aspect penalty that you need to pay. So I don't know if that's super relevant for anything, but something to...
That is how that works, right? I was asking earlier if Vader is the same way.
Yeah, Vader's the same way. Yeah,
I think that, penalty. I'm actually considering in my Tarkin deck throwing in Death Trooper.
Because it's just so good
because I play Vader. And it's like, it's Imperial, plus it's like 2 damage removal. So it's like paying 4 for a Death Trooper probably isn't the worst thing you could do. But also...
5.
Or 5.
3, yeah.
But also being able to hit it with Vader just
being able to hit. I mean, that combo with Vader is so good.
That's the play.
Yeah.
I was this is probably a meme, but I was thinking about Ewing Reinforcement with Wedge, so that all those, if you can grab some vehicles and they're all coming in with ambush.
Yeah.
Like, they're really going in on
bring in
side.
like Wedge and 1 vehicle if you needed to, right? Like, and then ambush.
Take care of that pesky A-wing on the other side.
Yeah.
It'd be Wedge and what's a 2 cost? I guess if you're running like red,
it would be another A-wing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would very, very cool card. I love the theme of it and like the design space there.
Yeah, I think there's some sick
super
stuff
fun
you can
card
do with it. Some really sick stuff.
For sure. All right, next card is Force Lightning. It's a 1-cost event. Red villain. Choose a unit. It loses all abilities for this phase. Then if you control a force unit, pay any number of resources and deal 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid this way. This card,
I think this is pretty good.
Sweet.
Yes.
The first thing that comes to mind is like being able to cancel K2's ability.
Yeah.
Against aggro.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's I think that's the best case of this whole thing. Like, they play K2, you pay what, 3 to. You do have to have a force unit, but.
I mean, even if you don't, you still get to cancel it, and then you just take it out. You know.
Yeah. You just pay 1 to turn the ability off.
True.
And
then, fair.
Yeah, I love this card. This card's really, really good. I mean, K2 is a great example. There's a ton of other cards with like, on attack abilities or with even Sentinel. Like you turn off Sentinel, you turn off, a bunch of stuff. Raid. Like I feel like it's just a very versatile card that like the modularity makes it really powerful because you can, go all the way from just spending 1 resource to turn off an ability to killing a leader for like 5 resources or something if they're. So,
So it's a legendary, which is interesting because Super Laser Blast and this are legendaries. What other legendaries? Do we have any hero legendary events?
That's a good question.
I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
Put us on the spot.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
Search. Let's see.
Yeah, rarity.
Mace Windu. Nope, that's not an event. Yeah, we have no hero.
No events.
Legendaries. They're either double aspect or
change of heart.
Change of heart.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But we have 2 that are
villain. That was really interesting.
So yeah.
I wonder if that'll be the case in the next set too.
I think it makes sense because I think on the hero side, the named people are more significant than on the villain side.
There's a lot more of them too.
Yeah.
Since the beginning, there's always 2, so there's not very many iconic
villains.
At least like in the movies,
Yep.
All right. Next card is Guerrilla Attack Pod. This is a 6-cost ground unit, red hero, and it's a 4/6 rebel vehicle walker with grit. And when played, if a base has 15 or more damage on it, ready this unit. I love this card.
Okay, so I heard Tower Number 9 on YouTube call this Sabine's fire spray, and I was like, that's so good. So I don't know if he was the first one to say that, but it's literally like, that checks out because you're.
It's a good analogy.
Base to 15 by 6. Someone said.
I mean, if you haven't done that, you're losing that game.
Yeah. Well, or you're losing, and you need this to climb back in. Either way, I think you're. Yeah.
Does this go into Sabine? Are you putting this into your Sabine deck?
It's a good question.
I think. What do you
think
cut
about
to
it for
put
sure.
this in?
I think about it for sure.
I 100% think this goes in.
I think it depends on what you're.
Comes in ready
with green. With green, you for sure put this in.
Yeah, in green bean.
Yeah, because you can ambush it too.
Yeah,
and it has the when played, and so you can ambush it with ECL and then ready it with damage on it because it has grit.
Yeah, that's good.
And threaten even more damage.
Yeah.
I don't know about the yellow version.
The better version.
I like green a lot too.
I don't know.
I like both, honestly, but I don't know. I love the card. I think it's really cool. Really, crazy draft card too, and it's a common. So
I like grit. So anything that gives me more grit. But it is hero, and I feel like more of the grit stuff I do is going to be
it's going to be villain.
Because like Death Trooper,
Yeah, Death Trooper, Grand Inquisitor. All that.
Just pay 5 for Death Trooper and a Hero Blue shell.
Ewing reinforcement for Death Trooper. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about Bombing Run, which is a 5-cost event. It's red. Choose an arena, ground or space. Deal 3 damage to each unit in that arena.
Seems good.
Yeah.
I think that that's probably like we were talking about earlier with Super Laser Blast. Hero control doesn't have anything. So
but they could use this,
I'm thinking if you're going to be going hero control, you're going to have to go red and put this in. And on turn 4, you make sure to take the initiative. Turn 5, you just wipe everything.
Yeah.
Maybe play a couple grit units so that when you play this, you're just buffing your guys.
You got some buffs. You play this right after you played your Guerrilla Attack Pod.
Yeah.
This could be really nasty in like an Iden red shell.
Yeah. For sure.
Like if she's out there with her shield and she can drop this, and then she just wipes the board and heals 3 or heal,
Yeah. Powerful effect. I like this card. I don't know exactly like what deck it goes in other than potentially something like that. Like on the hero side, I don't know like where this fits exactly, but
yeah, I don't feel like we have any control hero. Like Cassian
Yeah, maybe,
but not really.
Yeah,
He's not really control because you have to deal damage to their base. Like you're not a control character if you're having to deal damage to their base to do your ability. So
yeah,
the only control we have is Luke, and it feels more mid range than it is control.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a world where you play this in like a faster mid range deck where you want to try and get into a race with your opponent where they're in one arena and you're in the other arena, and you just use this to like wipe whatever arena you're not in and like slow them down enough to swing the game in your favor?
Yeah, like you just build the space deck with a bunch of bombing runs.
Yeah,
which is very thematic.
And the art on it is sick too.
Art on it is really sick. Yeah,
you got a lot of good red ships that hit for a lot. So you could do A-wings and Star Wing Scouts and Fang Fighters and I don't know.
All right, let's build it.
Sounds fun.
All right, Jay started talking about the art, so we're moving on to Smoke and Cinders. 5-cost event. It's red. It's a disaster. Is that the first disaster that we've seen on a card?
No,
maybe.
Perhaps not. But
super laser blast.
Where's
also a disaster.
Where's Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's skeletons in the side?
They're corpses. Great question.
Missed opportunity.
This card seems terrible.
Each player discards all but 2 cards of their choice from their hand. Yeah, this seems horrible.
I mean, this would be really good in Organa, but in this,
I don't know what deck wants this. Like when you get to
what deck is drawing to like 7 cards for this to be worth paying 5 for?
Yeah, and all not. Like maybe this is a card that you would want in a control deck if like in a control mirror. If you also don't have to discard your hand down to 2, like that's the part that's a little weird about this one to me. Is like.
Terrible card.
You have to play a deck that wants to play this for 5 resources instead of like any kind of threat. And then
maybe this is future proofing something.
Maybe. Yeah. I guess like maybe they thought people would really want to play Cassian and draw like a million cards. And they were like, we need some kind of safety valve.
There's no way.
No, there's no way.
This has to be something in the future.
It's terrible. Let's move on.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. If there are discard synergies in the future, this could be decent. Like if you have a card in play that's like, whenever your opponent discards a card from their hand, deal 2 damage or something like that. Now it's interesting.
It's 5.
At the moment, it's not interesting. So we'll move on.
It costs 5 though.
All right. I heard you like discarding cards. So
yeah, I was going to say.
We're going to talk about Forced Surrender, which is a 6-cost red event. And it says draw 2 cards. Each opponent whose base you've damaged this phase discards 2 cards from their hand. Some would say a much better card than the last card we talked about.
Yeah. I mean, you're drawing and not having
but it's much better.
If you didn't have to damage their base on the turn, this card would be pretty sweet because you could like go into turn 6 with the initiative and play this and they discard the 2 cards they drew. Like if they were down to nothing and then they draw 2, don't resource like against Sabine. And then you discard the 2 cards that they drew and they have nothing to play. But
you have to attack first. So
the one thing that like gets me excited is thinking about a Twin Sun setting where you can somehow do
sure
like 1 damage to everybody's base. I don't know. Is there a way to do? I don't know how to do that, but
I don't know. You just said you have a bunch of stuff out and you attack each of them one at a time. And then really slowly
like an effect that says, something that's overcosted, but maybe they'll print it eventually. That says like, deal 1 damage to each opponent's base for 2. And so it would never see play in Premiere, but it's Twin Suns and sets
everybody targets you and you die.
But it would make such a
they don't
awesome
have any cards in their hand anymore. Maybe they can kill you.
It would totally be worth it.
I mean,
I feel like
I don't know.
This might actually be good in a control mirror.
Like probably is in a control mirror.
If it's control versus control and you're able to draw 2 and make them discard 2, it's probably not terrible.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. So maybe a sideboard card in certain matchups when you're playing a red control deck. But failing that, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Bib Fortuna, who is a 2-cost ground unit, yellow villain, 1 power, 3 health, Underworld, Twi'lek, shielded, action, exhaust, play an event from your hand. It costs 1 less, making things cheaper.
Super good.
Usually good.
I like this fella.
I think he's fine. Obviously, he pairs with Jabba, so if you have Jabba out, then you can play a trick for 2 less. That's kind of cool. He is shielded, so he doesn't he's better than Bail Organa, I think, because he comes in shielded and doesn't just immediately die before you get to use him.
Very true.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some nasty yellow event decks out there that are going to
at some point
find ways to really abuse this. So
yeah, I could see it for sure. Yeah. Anything that makes you think about the rest of the card pool a little bit different, because makes things cheaper.
That's a good question. Are there any good yellow cards that you could play on turn 2
Cunning.
for 1 less?
Yeah, Cunning.
Cunning.
Is that good though? Like, they kind of need to
maybe
have a
not that
board.
early. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Like, if there was like a command for yellow, you know what I mean, where you can like put it into your resources, so that on turn 2 you get to do the.
You can do that in Twin Suns.
You could.
I mean, you could resupply. Like,
yeah, you already could resupply on turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
1 resource left over, but why?
It's really worth it. But you can play a Greedo and a resupply.
Yeah. It's an interesting card.
Any 1 cost, I guess, on turn 2 is.
Yeah, you just play for free.
It's not terrible.
We're going to move on to Swoop Racer. It is a 3-cost ground unit. It's yellow, and it's a 4/3. Fringe.
You know what?
For whatever that's worth.
Great and limited.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. I think it's pretty good and limited. 4 attack.
Probably the only place you'll see this, but
yeah,
really great. I don't mind drafting this or pulling this and sealed at all.
Hitting for 4 is big numbers.
Yep, totally. All right, moving on to Disarm, which is a 1-cost event. It's yellow, and it says give an enemy unit -4/-0 for this phase.
I didn't even play this in draft.
Yeah, I don't like this card at all.
I don't like it.
It's the base ability of what's it called? But
Jeddah City, but for 1. I guess it can hit a leader, but is this really what you want to spend a card on?
No.
I would agree. I would agree. All right, cool. Let's move to the next one. Much more interesting card. Sneak Attack, a 2-cost event. It's yellow. It's a trick. And it says play a unit from your hand. It costs 3 less and enters play ready. At the start of the regroup phase, defeat it. This is a cool card.
First of all, I got to give a shout out to the FFG designers because they put this card in like every game.
Yeah.
They find a way to add a sneak attack.
Isn't it literally called Sneak Attack in one of the other games too?
Yes. Lord of the Rings LCG.
That's so funny.
You sneak attack in the Gandalf. The Gandalf has a bunch of 1-plate effects. And
don't they have the same thing in Champions too, in Nick Fury.
Yep. Yeah, I forget. Is it? Maybe it's called Sneak Attack. I can't remember.
So who's
it's
the
called
Gandalf?
Sneak Attack in
Champions too?
Lord of the Rings. I don't know about Champions. I don't remember.
Champions, I forgot what it's called, but there is a card, right? Like there's a leadership card that does that.
Yeah.
I wonder who the Gandalf / Nick Fury is in this game.
That's a good question.
Character-wise. If you had to pick a character to be Gandalf or Nick Fury in Star Wars lore.
This might be pretty good with Mace Windu.
Mace Windu and Nick Fury are the same person.
Yeah. You're right.
But Mace would still cost 4, so you're only getting this out a turn earlier because you have to pay 2 for sneak attack and then 4 for Mace.
Hey, I didn't tell you it was good. I'm just saying he can attack multiple things and he's probably going to defeat himself by clearing the board anyway. So can Bib Fortuna play sneak attack for 1? There we go.
And then
yeah, there
and it's a trick. So if Jabba's out there, you could do this for 0.
Man.
Now
we're talking.
For 0. What are you sneak attacking on the villain yellow side? Comes into play ready, and then it dies at the end of the phase. Is there good when defeated?
It doesn't have to just be yellow though, right?
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. You could do Emperor Palpatine, deal 6 damage to your opponent's board. And
so Jabba costs what? How much does the Jabba cost?
4.
So you're playing this on turn 5.
Yeah.
Right? For free.
Well, on turn 4.
So you could play something, turn 4. So you could play something that costs
8, right?
7.
I think 8.
Free. Or 8.
Devastator.
The Ruthless Raider might be interesting in a yellow-red.
Oh, shell. For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because that's a when played and a when defeated.
Yeah, and you get ready. That's pretty sweet.
There it is.
Yeah,
we unlocked it. We
just
nailed
cooked it up.
Everybody who's watching this was yelling that at their screen. We finally came to the conclusion.
I'm gonna start building my Bib Fortuna, Jabba the Hutt, Sneak Attack, Ruthless Raider deck right after this.
Perfect.
We just cracked the code. You can do the Chimera.
Amazing.
That's still so expensive.
At least you can, in theory, use its ability before it dies because it comes into play ready. If your opponent doesn't have an answer, literally the next action.
And shielded.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's gonna die.
Oh god.
All right. Well, I think we're all pretty excited about this card. It's very cool. You can do a lot of cool things with it.
Wombo combo.
I'm
gonna have to figure out how to make this work.
I just gave it to you, Coach.
It's the next the next project. We're gonna move on to a much less exciting card. Underworld Thug. It's a 2-cost ground unit. It's neutral and it's a 2/3. Underworld traded. That's it.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Next
I took a couple of these in draft.
Yeah, it's fine in draft. It can be.
Yeah.
I like the artwork.
Yeah.
The Nikto, I think is what they're called.
When you start talking about the GAR, it's time to hit the next one.
That's right. We've got Frontier ATRT. It's a 4-cost 3/5 ground unit. It's a vehicle and walker. While you control another vehicle unit, this unit gains ambush. I like this in draft.
Does it jump out of the vehicle? Is that like the
thing? Is that the lore? That's a great question.
Is it like, all right, so you have this giant tank and then out jumps this thing and ambushes
Surprise.
people?
Yeah. Maybe.
I played a bunch of these in the three drafts that I did last weekend, and I was always getting ambushed out of this.
This overperformed for me in draft, honestly.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Jay, you disagree?
Health, right?
Yeah, it's 5 health.
And
the
draft,
ambush.
It seems fine.
Yeah.
You
outside of draft,
got
I don't
the
think you
ambush
play
off?
those. Yeah, because you play like
every time.
Like an arc or like a A-wing or like whatever,
true.
and then you can I still am like not annoyed, but I wish that not all of the ground vehicles had ambush already, because it just makes Wedge feel even worse. So
fair.
I don't know.
Well, Wedge with that Sabine's fire spray, there's an interesting one, because then you can do it twice.
Just like ECL, but worse.
See?
All right. Next, we've got Corellian Freighter, which is a 5-cost 4/4 vehicle transport. It's a space unit, and it has Sentinel, and it's neutral.
Fine in draft. Limited.
Yep. Agreed.
If you're low on space, which sometimes happens. I went into the third pack of a draft with no vehicle units on accident, and I looked at Inception and I said, no, it wasn't. It was Scott from Golden Ice. I was like, I think I should get some spaceships. Like, I was just like, anytime I play, yep, take it, yep.
Totally. I love the art on this. It's such a cool looking ship.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Falcon, but with 3 turbo boosters in the back.
With more turbo boosters, which is very cool. I will also say that it is interesting that all of the neutral cards are like very clearly draft cards.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah. The worst thing you could do is print like a really overpowered neutral card, and then it's in literally every single deck in the entire game. Because that's just
not looking
boring.
at you, Command and Conquer. E-Strike.
There's so many in that game. All right. We're going to talk about Restock, which is a 1-cost neutral event. Supply, choose up to 4 cards in a discard pile, put them on the bottom of their owner's deck in a random order.
I think this card is great.
This is terrible.
This might be one of the best cards.
Might as well put Jay's face.
I think in draft this card's like pretty fine.
How many times did you lose the mill?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, fair. I did lose, and I also milled Sugi out.
In that game against Jeremy, this card would have been great for you.
Okay, fair. Yes, that's fine. But I don't know.
I mean, outside of draft too, it's a sideboard card if there's a mill meta.
Yeah.
And if you have 2 of these in your deck, if you have multiple copies of these in your deck, you never mill out.
That's true.
And if you can get to a scenario, an end game state where you can just play like you're down to 0 cards and you just put the best 4 cards back in your deck.
This is like the Flesh and Blood. Like whatever they call it. Yeah. Or I don't know.
They're like pitch stacking.
Yeah, pitch stacking. That's what it's called. The thing I could never do. And one of the reasons why I was not good at that game.
So in the very first set of Flesh and Blood, there is a card called Drone of Brutality, and if you met a certain condition when you attacked with it, it was a big attacking card, like 6 or 7. It went to the bottom of your deck. And in Flesh and Blood, it's like a draft in Star Wars Unlimited where you only have like 30 cards, and you can, if you aren't able to close the game out, you can quickly get down to no cards. But that card was super busted because it just kept going to the bottom of your deck. So if you get to that state, you could just like attack,
play
it there,
forever.
attack, put it there. Yeah.
Nice.
So I could see something like that happening in Star Wars Unlimited sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, I don't think we have anything else to say about those cards. How do you guys feel about the fact that we're done? Like this whole set is spoiled. Spoiler season's over for now. I'm
very excited.
I am too. I'm excited to build decks with this whole pool and
for pre-release.
Yes,
I'm pumped for the set to come out, and I can start organizing cards, pulling packs, and getting all my hyperfoils.
Yes,
showcases.
Totally.
Yep. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm ready to play and do the whole thing, and then maybe in like 2 months we can start doing this again. Theoretically.
Yep.
If it's 2 months from now, but
yeah, for sure.
I'm ready. I'm ready to stay up too late every night building decks on my phone.
I mean, it talks about Mandalorian and
Mandalorian Moff Gideon. Yeah,
which not much to talk about besides how cool the artwork looks.
And the artwork looks really sick. So,
but that's the new 2-player set for second set.
Yep.
Are they going to be doing 2-player sets for each set?
I don't know.
Have they said? We don't know.
Did they say it was a 2-player starter for set 2, or did they just say these are the starter leaders? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure they said it was. Well, I mean, I'm assuming it's a 2-player starter like Luke and Vader was.
Sure.
But
I mean, it would make sense. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see what those do. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know what you think about these cards in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.